Black belts are made out of magic. Purple belts never show up to warm ups. White belts are spazzy. Brown belts are held together by tape and have about 50 surgeries. And blue belts quit. Every belt has its stereotype, but do blue belts really have the highest attrition rate of any of the belt ranks? Why do people usually quit Brazilian Jiu Jitsu anyway? And what can we do to make sure that we're not part of those statistics? That's what we're going to talk about in this video.
Hi, I'm Desiree Lussier-Levesque, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu coach, competitor, and Judoka. Welcome to my channel, The Purple Belt Diaries.
What do the actual numbers say? Well, there is attrition at every belt level in Jiu Jitsu. The highest level of attrition actually being at white belts. The actual statistics themselves are a little bit difficult to come by. However, according to various different sources, including BJJ Fanatics, Heavy BJJ, there are links to some of their blogs I've left down in the description below so that you can check out for yourself. Around 75 to 70% of white belts quit. Now, it's not necessarily specified as whether or not that's white belts that have survived the first few introductory classes. Some estimates are even as high as 90%. And that's typically what you hear just around in general. The highest dropout rate tends to be around the 5 to 6 month mark. That is, if the individual continues after the first couple of introductory classes. So we can make the assumption that anywhere from 10% to 30% of white belts make it to blue belt. Once at purple, the attrition rate is a little bit unclear, and I haven't been able to find any specific statistics. However, a blog from Heavy BJJ states that roughly 13% of students in their school from their beginners classes do eventually get promoted to purple belt. Estimates of purple belt attrition can range up to 66%. According to BJJ Fanatics, only 3% of practitioners will make it to brown belt, which pretty much falls in line with roughly the 66% of attrition rate from purple belts, if we estimate that roughly maybe 10% of white belts make it there. And then an estimated 1 to 3 practitioners who start ever actually achieve black belts. Only a very small percentage of people actually make it to purple, and then an even smaller percentage of that make it to brown and then eventually to black. But why is that? Well, there can be a number of reasons that people decide not to continue pursuing jiu-jitsu. One is simply that it just isn't for them, and that's okay. Not everyone wants to roll around with a bunch of other sweaty people on a mat for 2 hours a night. As much as those of us that practice jiu-jitsu want to believe that it's a sport for everyone, not everyone believes that it's the sport for them, and we have to allow them to make that choice. Another big reason is injuries, whether it's injuries that they have and they've obtained during the sport, injuries that were prior that they don't want to aggravate, or seeing others be injured and deciding that they are going to stop doing jiu-jitsu in order to prevent the same injury themselves. This is totally understandable for a lot of people, especially as we get older, or for those of us that have jobs where having any sort of injury might actually interfere with our ability to work, or home life, or any sort of other outside obligation. Changes in life situation also tends to be another big reason that people stop training. So that can be changes in the family life, the home life, the work life, and those can all interfere with your ability to train. Another big reason that people stop doing jiu-jitsu is because of financial reasons. Jiu-jitsu is not a cheap hobby. It's not just the tuition, but also you have to buy gear, such as a gi, no-gi equipment. And if you're competing or attending seminars, it's going to get even more costly. The budget isn't always there at every point in an individual's life for jiu-jitsu, even if they really want to continue to train. Another reason people might leave is because it's hard. Jiu-jitsu is hard. You can be a big muscle-bound individual, step out onto the mat, you're brand new, and you're getting wrecked by tiny people. And it doesn't make sense. It's difficult. It's a tough sport, and it takes a long time and a lot of hard work to progress. Overall, it can be very rewarding. And that's why many of us still persist and continue to do it. For some individuals, they just don't feel like they're progressing enough, or maybe they're getting bored. And so they decide that, it's just not for them right now. And that's okay. You can step off the mat, you can come back. It's always going to be there for you. Sometimes too, egos can get in the way. What do I mean by that? The idea that everyone just abandons their ego at the door entirely does sound kind of ridiculous. But one thing that jiu-jitsu teaches us is to fail successfully. You will have to be tapped out so many times before you're the one actually tapping someone out. It's all part of the learning process. And some individuals can't handle that. Their ego will not allow them to lose. But jiu-jitsu is practice. When we're on the mat, we're learning, we're practicing. And you can't actually lose or win at practice. Just something to remember there. Another reason that people might quit is they're simply not in the right environment. The best mats in the world, coupled with the best instruction you've ever heard, with the coolest looking gis that you've ever seen, are still not going to keep you in a place if that place is not the right fit for you. So knowing all this, what can be done to keep us from being one of these statistics, one of these numbers on an attrition rate? The first thing we need to do is understand that it is okay to take a break. Back when I was in graduate school, I wasn't able to train as much as I really wanted to. I went from training every day, sometimes twice a day, to training maybe once a week in jiu-jitsu, maybe once or twice a week in judo. And during the final year of my grad school, when I was in the dissertation phase, I did not train either of those at all. I did get up in the mornings, run, unfortunately, lift weights, but I just was not able to get to the classes at the times that they were held at. Oftentimes when I was doing research, even in the early years of my graduate education, my lab schedule interfered with my ability to make it to training on time. And even still, after I graduated, I went right back to judo, but it was still another several months before I returned to jiu-jitsu. That's okay. When I came back, jiu-jitsu was right there waiting for me. Some individuals might be hesitant because they have anxiety about how their performance will be after so much time off the mat. Because we remember what we were like on the mat before, and when we returned, we know we're not going to be at that same level. That's okay. And it will come back more quickly than you think. For those individuals that are feeling bored or like they're not in the right environment, one thing that you can do is maybe try some cross training, check out other schools, mix it up a little bit, maybe try another martial art for a little while. It's okay to explore your options, explore a little, and find what makes you happy. When I was attending my first school and I was leaving to go down to Florida for graduate school, I remember my professor telling me that not every school is going to be like the school that I'm coming from, obviously, but that it's important to find a place that makes you happy, where you feel like you fit in and where you are excited to go train. Don't mistake my words. I don't mean that every day you'll be excited to train. There's plenty of days where the motivation just won't be there. And this is where habits come in. Sometimes what's necessary is pushing through in order to continue the habit of attending. A lot of times we go in excited, everything jiu-jitsu, we love it, we want it to be our life, our career, everything. And then that excitement dies out. Again, it's okay to cool off, back down a little bit, rework your schedule. Sometimes life comes in and there are things in our present circumstances that need to be addressed. Address those things and go back later. Jiu-jitsu will always be waiting for you. It's okay to take care of things and then come back. Don't be afraid that if you achieve some balance in your life, that's going to negatively affect your jiu-jitsu. Not addressing those situations or going in full blast all the time can sometimes cause us to burn out. So it's okay to take a bit of a rest rework our schedules, and make sure that we include life in that schedule as well. For those blue belt blue survivors, tell us how you made it through and what pushed you to carry on in jiu-jitsu down in the comments. For those of you that left jiu-jitsu, let us know why you left and what prompted you to come back. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please check out some of my other content. Don't forget to hit that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell. It really helps out the channel. Thanks, and see you next time. Bye.